about this voiceover. I don't know if it's the length of the video or what, but I'm just struggling so hard to get this voiceover out, and I am really frustrated right now. But anyway, you guys, hey! Welcome back to my channel, or if you're new here, welcome to my channel. My name is Bex, or Bexie, whatever you want to call me, and yeah, so today we're here for a really difficult video. The entire process of this video has been difficult, but it is worth it in the end because this is the Moretti home. Now, the Morettis, if you do not know them, are an elderly couple, an elderly Italian couple that will be featured in my upcoming Let's Play, my first ever Let's Play, on Jocelyn Hathaway. Now, she is the main character, and these guys, Roberto in particular, have been a godsend for Jocelyn. Jocelyn comes from a broken home, and they have just helped her so much to break free from that. She has wanted to leave, and so she was sort of, well, not sort of, she was working her butt off to get as much money as she could to get a home for herself. And basically she's a teen, so that was pretty difficult for her to do and still stay in school, but she did it. And Roberto, she had managed to get about, I think about 10k? I think a bit under that, but yeah, and so that was a sizable amount of money, but it just was not enough for her to be able to find a home, and so she was struggling. She was really upset about that. She was feeling as though she would never be able to escape from such a horrible house, which, if you guys want more of that backstory, link to that video is down below. It's her Kaz video, where you'll find out all about why she wants to leave and her situation, all of that sort of thing. I may get into it a bit later on in this video, but this video is sort of more dedicated to the Morettis and opening up about them, rather than it is about Jocelyn. But yeah, so Roberto actually found her in that sort of situation. He said, listen, I can build you a home if you would like. I have, my wife and I have a property right next door to our own that is vacant at the moment. There's not even a house in there, so I can build you a house if you would like. And she agreed to that. She was, you know, at her wit's end, and she agreed to that. And she said, my only stipulation is that you please do not make anything that I wouldn't be able to afford. So she gave over all of her money that she had been able to scrounge up in an incredible act of faith and trust, actually, for someone who's had the sort of background that she has. That would not have been easy, but she did it, and it paid off because they've given her a very small sort of studio home. It's a 5x5 lot, which also build is up on my channel, link down below. And the playlist for this Let's Play and like all of the builds and everything, and the Kazas will be linked at the end of this video if you want to stay here first, which you totally can. But yeah, so that whole sort of situation, I suppose, stems from the fact that these guys, the Morettis, I apologize, when they were younger, when they got together, which you learn how in their Kaz video, I'm going to be referencing that quite a bit, but basically they met at a romance festival, and Julia, the wife, she was at the romance festival, and she came across these paintings that Roberto was trying to sell, and she loved them all very dearly because they were so full of life. And Julia is a bit more, not conservative, but very stern and private, I suppose. She doesn't really like to show that much, not that much emotion, but because she's a very loving sim, and you do see that, but she's a very much more private sim, and less sort of like free, I suppose, and goofy sim, whereas her husband is very goofy, very creative, you know, that sort of mind and spirit of the creative. And so she came across his paintings, and she just loved how full of life and beautiful they were, and so she bought all of them, actually. And from that night, they sort of, you know, like, grew into a really sweet love, and they're still just as loved today, just as much in love today. And yeah, they were really hoping to have a family with one another, but unfortunately that was just not something that would happen for them. Julia was actually infertile, which absolutely broke their heart. But once they had took the time to mourn that loss, they opened up their hearts and their homes to a whole lot of foster children, and one child in particular spent quite a bit of time with them and is still very much in contact today and very much part of the family. His name is Christian Ridley. You will be seeing him in the Let's Play, because the Morettis actually used to live in obviously a much larger home, because they would have had to for foster children, you know, but as they were growing older, they felt the need to have a home that was more accessible, so all one story, and a lot smaller as well, because they've stopped fostering children because they're not quite at the age where they can do that anymore, and they kind of want to live out their lives and relax a little bit more with the family that they do have now. Anyway, but Christian, actually, his parents died in a car crash, and he has a few scars on his face. When you meet him, he does have a few scars on his face from that crash. And he actually found his wife, who happened to be the girl that lived down the street from him when his parents were still alive, when he still lived with them, which is really sweet. It's really nice that he was able to sort of reconnect a bit with his past again. And they have a beautiful little girl, Corinne, and they're part of the family, you guys. They gave, the Morettis gave their old house, the house that he actually grew up in with them, back to him. And so they live there. They've done a lot of paint, a big paint job on the place. It's very much a bit more fairy tale, which I feel like Christian might get a little bit of crap for, from, you know, male neighbors and such, but, you know, he doesn't really care. He doesn't find the color pink emasculating. He doesn't mind at all. His wife is happy, and his daughter feels as though they live in a fairy tale home, you know, like, he's all good. He doesn't worry about that. So yeah, but they do come and see the Morettis quite often, actually, which is why when we get into furnishing this home, you'll see that there's quite a bit of toddler stuff all around the place. Like, there's a toddler slide up the back, which I'll be adding in, and there's some toys in the lounge room, and there's a I think I added this off camera, but I might have added it in right at the end. There's also a I believe there's a toddler, like, with the eating chair. But yeah, so this home is a lot more humble, I suppose, and accessible for them. And Julia loves to garden, which is why there's that big garden up the back. But I do change it a little bit up in a moment, because I feel like her husband just dotes on her, and I find that pretty much creative people, I'm a creative person myself, and creative people, we sort of dabble, or we do try out a lot of different mediums. So over the years, he has tried sculpting and that sort of thing, as well as like stonework. I don't know what that's called, but stonework. So he actually made her a little garden up the back, which is so beautiful in the corner. You'll see me add it in towards the end. He made her a little garden up the back with the romantic stuff, the romantic garden stuff, chair, the stone chair up the back that has a beautiful, that tree right there is moved to sort of sit over it a bit. And yeah, it's just a really sweet little oasis that he's made for her. There's also a ballerina statue, I guess, like a tiny statue figurine thing that he's put down. I don't believe it's one that kids can play with, but it kind of would have been adorable if they could, because I really feel like that's something that Corinne would love to get her hands on. But yeah, apart from that, okay, I won't talk about furnishing, because there is a separate section of this video, obviously, furnishing. But this build, I don't know if I said, but yes, I did. This build was pretty difficult to get under wraps. Very difficult. Because the roofing and everything, I cut out about 5 solid minutes here and there of me just fiddling with the roofing. And this is actually the final roof that we do get. But yeah, so with that said, you guys, let's get into... So, you guys, on to furnishing, yeah? When I say that building this home was difficult, and this entire process was difficult. What I really mean by that was furnishing this home was difficult. Okay, the roofing was one thing, okay, we got there in the end, but furnishing just felt bloody impossible. Alright? And basically, the entire problem with that was the fact that when I was trying to furnish the home, initially I held back because I wanted to have some artifacts of their life. Like, I wanted to go and get Roberto when they were younger and get some photos of them getting married and that sort of thing. And I wanted to have photos maybe of them with their foster son even. And their, I suppose, granddaughter from the foster son as well. And I wanted to get a few paintings that he could do, and it sort of helped me embellish the storyline as well, and specifically their storyline and their relationship, I suppose, as I was telling you earlier, about her falling in love with him because of the life that he showed in his creations. But yeah, so that's why I held off initially, and then when I actually went in to furnish this home, I found it impossible, probably because they have such different styles to one another. Julia is a very stern and sort of reclusive, what was that other word that I was thinking of before? I'm not sure, but very stern, sort of stoic sim, whereas Roberto is very creative and eclectic and colourful, and so I kind of wanted to find a way to sort of show both of those and of course mesh them together, because I mean they've been together for about 50 years, so they would have found a way to mesh those two styles together. And I sort of found a happy medium where I was able to have Julia's style more in the sort of public rooms that would be, you know, what people who came to their house, no matter who they were, would see, whereas their bedroom is very much a bit of an oasis, I suppose, as is the backyard, with Julia's gardening and the beautiful little area that Roberto has constructed for her with the stone seating. But yeah, their bedroom in particular is pretty different, I suppose, and to an extent so is the living room, I guess. The living room is quite colourful as well, but the thing that really helped me to get this house furnished was to bring in the paintings that Roberto had done that Julia had actually bought, that were the reason why she sort of fell in love with him. And so I use one in the main area, down the hall a little bit, then I use one in the bedroom, and I believe the one in the bedroom is actually Julia's favorite. And then I use another one in the living room, and for each of those spaces I go off of the colors that are in the paintings, as you'll see, that are in the paintings, to sort of help me figure out a color scheme. So I suppose without the paintings, the areas might look a little bit strange, but with the paintings, in particular, this is the case for the living room, with the paintings it sort of completes the picture, so that's really nice. But yeah, there were a few different things that I added. There were objects that had the same sort of effect, like the grandfather clock. I added that in, and I felt like it was probably maybe Julia's, I think, from her father maybe. And I actually found, you know, that little soldier sort of photo of the older man, the really small square one, not square one, but like rectangular one. I actually found that photo and I was thinking, I just got this vibe, like, why would she have a random man's portrait in her home? She wouldn't, you know, neither of them that would. That's a bit weird. So I kind of got to thinking, and I was thinking, you know, this could possibly be her father. And then this sort of reason for why she's so stoic came to me, and it was probably because her father, who was in that picture, I feel like he died when she was rather young, and that sort of just closed her off a little bit. Whereas, so it's really beautiful that Roberto is able to sort of bring that back into her life, I guess. But yeah, just, I guess that's pretty much all that I had to say about the build, and we're only 14 minutes in. So I wanted to share my thoughts on what we've learned so far about Get Famous. I'm doing this voiceover the day that I'm posting this. So basically the embargo has lifted, has been for a couple days now, I think, or yeah, at least 1 or 2 days. And I wanted to share my thoughts. I haven't watched all or pretty much any of the videos that have been released, but I have heard a lot and seen a lot of reactions and, you know, seen the world size, and I've watched a little bit, enough to hold a few opinions, I suppose. And so I'm going to share mine, and I would really love for you guys to share yours in the comments down below so that we can talk about this, because, yeah. So, first off, I'm pretty excited about the customizable sets. Sorry if you heard that bump, I just smacked my phone down on the desk. But yeah, I'm pretty excited about the customizable sets for the acting career, and I'm also pretty excited about the quirk perk points, which is basically, if you don't know, how you get to become famous is you have to do something to earn a perk. And to earn a perk, you have to do an action a certain amount of times in a certain time frame, I think, was what Sim Guru Graham said. And doing so would make you gain this perk point that would in turn make you a celebrity or put you on the path to becoming a celebrity. So I'm pretty interested in that, and I'm also really excited that it seems like for the first time in the Sims franchise, your Sims will actually be famous for something rather than just be famous. There's no more of that I'm a celebrity, it's I'm a celebrity because of ... And yeah, so we're gonna have, you know, Sims that are celebrities because they are athletic stars. Athletes. And I feel like in the previous games that was sort of missing. We just became celebrities. Like, we didn't have to really do anything in particular to become a celebrity. And I'm just really curious as to how that works, I guess, and how that will play out. Like, if you become a celebrity through your career as an athlete, does that give you certain perks or something? I don't know. I'm curious. And yeah, I saw the male Kaz items, or a few of them, and there's not a lot there that I'm really excited for. It seems that we're still on that sort of theme of being a little lackluster on the male stuff and a bit more focused on the female stuff, which is really unfortunate because, I mean, in turn, that sort of relates to how I at least play my game. I don't really focus as much on the male Sims possibly because there's not as much there, and possibly because the female, like, their stuff is just so much nicer and so much more exciting. And that sort of brings me into, like, the kids stuff. I feel like they have a lot of the same articles of clothing, which does not make sense, and I don't think personally translates to real life. And I'm not going to get too heated into that because I'm starting to get a little heated and want to say a few things that I probably shouldn't. So yeah, there's a few things that I really like of the male Kaz items, like the grey tux and one of the hairs, I think, but apart from that, not really. I've seen, not really, but some of the female Kaz items, and I'm absolutely more excited for those. So then I wanted to say something about the size of the world. Now, initially, I was not happy about the size of the world either, until I took into consideration a few things. The fact that we would have been upset if they had put more lots into the world by taking away from the features that we will have in this game, the added in features that are pretty in-depth, I guess. I had the personal argument that, you know, perhaps if they hadn't installed so much of their time and their resources, I suppose, into the surrounding area that we can't even access in the world, like the decoration, I suppose, that makes the world look bigger and more full of life than I suppose it actually is, then we probably would have, you know, that would have been fine. We probably would have been able to play it. But actually, Simguru Kate shared something that was pretty interesting that basically said part of the reason why we have been getting progressively a bit smaller in our worlds is because in Sims 3, one world had about, I don't know, a lot of lots, probably about as many as we do have in the entirety of Sims 4 now, possibly a little bit more, but getting there, you know? And that caused tremendous lag in the game, and that was really unfortunate because a lot of people couldn't play, especially with more than a few packs in their game. And so that's what The Sims 4 in particular is really good about. It's good about. Is really great for. It's the fact that you can have, you know, no lag, which is also because of loading screens, but then loading screen times, unless you have piles of CC, are pretty short as well. So, you know, there's sort of that thing. So basically what she said was, you know, as we put in new worlds and more lots and stuff, there is the potential for lagging and more lagging and more lagging until we get to sort of what we had in Sims 3. And so that kind of calmed me down a little bit. And I've also worked out a bit of a strategy for myself that I'll be using to make the world not feel so small. Basically what I'm thinking is I'm going to get rid of the 5 community lots in the world so that I can use that as its own sort of community, because the way that I want to see this world and the way that I have sort of seen this world for a while now is, like, ever since we saw it was overlooking a city. Now initially I thought that city would be accessible. It's not. That's fine. But what it could then translate into is that city is actually San Myshuno, the city that we already have, which means that this world overlooks San Myshuno, is very, very close to San Myshuno. So you could say that it's almost like this area for celebrities and like the higher class, I suppose, who don't really want to live in apartments but are still part of San Myshuno or on the outskirts of San Myshuno. So that's how I'm going to be playing. I'm going to be playing with this world having entirely no community lots, and I always do add in quite a few community lots to San Myshuno anyway, so I'll probably just be doing the same thing, and then you're fine. Bob's your uncle. So that's my thoughts on that, but I'd really love to hear what you guys thought actually on that. And we're pretty much finishing up on this video now, I guess, so I don't really know what else to say. As I said earlier, the lot will be up on the gallery for you guys, both versions. If you guys are wanting me to give you a version that has the photos as well, which is going to be CC, because I do actually have to make that as proper CC, so it's not just going to be paintings that'll pop up, it'll be actual CC that I don't think will even pop up in your game unless you get the links. So I will probably be linking that at some point in the Let's Play so that you guys have access to that if you really want it. You might not, that's totally fine. So yeah, without further ado, I'm pretty much finished here on this, and the next video that we have for this little series, I suppose, is actually Jocelyn's parents, which is going to be a bit of an interesting one. I don't know that they'll feature too much in the actual Let's Play, because it's not as if they're actively searching for her, which is really sad. But yeah, that's the next video. That painting I actually put in as sort of like a reminder of Italy for them, which is really sweet. And that little flower thing that I have there is actually something that Christian made for Julia in particular at school. So yeah, that's just a bit more of the tidbits of what I said about me, you know, making the whole thing feel a bit more lived in and real and stuff. But yeah, I'm basically finished here. So guys, thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed. Please like, comment, subscribe, all those fun things. And yeah, I'll see you in the next video. Bye!
I can't help but notice you coming down the street, smiling so dearly at everyone you meet. And I can't help but notice you throwing me a glance, a wink telling me there's a chance. I've just got eyes for you. I've just got eyes for you. No other could enchant me, darling, like just got eyes for you. I've just got eyes for